modification aspect, the akhlaq or character aspect of all of this. If we just had the iman, if we just had the Islam, but we didn't have the ihsan, we are missing a key element of behavior modification, or that thing which would actually change us and change our actions. And so here, also by the way, under this hadith here is where the entire topic of tazkiyatun nafs comes in, or tasawwuf. Tazkiyatun nafs, cleaning the heart from anger, from jealousy, from rage, from lust, from all of these different nifaq, hypocrisy, all of the tazkiyah or purification of the heart. It takes place, or it falls underneath this question being asked. And so that's where the whole science of tazkiyah is built out of, this concept of ihsan. There's another way that ihsan is used. There's a hadith in which the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, he said that إِنَّ اللَّهَ كَتَبَ الْإِحْسَانَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ فَإِذَا ذَبَحْتُمْ فَأَحْسِنُوا الذِّبْحَ. Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, Inna Allah, indeed Allah has written or ordained that there should be ihsan on everything that you do, goodness in everything that you do. فَإِذَا ذَبَحْتُمْ, so when you slaughter an animal, do it in the best way. The idea here is whatever you do, do it to the best of your ability. And he used this word ihsan there, which is, how would I do this job if I knew Allah was watching me, or if I had a constantly looking at Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So again, this is where we have the whole concept of tazkiyah. When we talk about tazkiyah to nafs, there are typically two ways to work on purifying your heart and your soul. There are two ways that are taught. Number one is called takhliyah, which is to remove that thing which is bad from your character. And the other is called tahliyah, which means to adorn and add on good things to you. So depending on your personality, you can change your behavior or better yourself in one of two ways. One is to not focus so much on doing more good, but rather focus on eliminating the bad. Just think about if you wanted to lose weight, right? Or get in shape. There are two different approaches. One approach is going to say, let's look at your diet and change that drastically. You don't have to work out more. You don't have to do much more. We're just gonna take out the negative from your diet. The other approach is, don't think about how much you eat so much. Let's just get moving more. Let's get moving more. Both of these are gonna be good approaches. And in fact, we're gonna actually probably say you should do a little bit of both actually. So similarly, the scholars, they said if you want to work on your soul and your heart and cleaning your heart, you're going to, number one, add a little bit more good. Go to the masjid more, read Qur'an more, do a little bit more dhikr, do a bit more dua, add more good, a little bit more good. But equally important is to eliminate the harm, eliminate the negative. There are certain addictions that people have that they look at and they watch that are very negative and they destroy progress. Get rid of those things. Do whatever you can to remove those things from your life, because those negative things are taking away the barakah or blessing of any good that you are doing. And so the idea is to remove the negative, not so much focus on adding more good to it. Remove the negative and you'll see the benefit of the good that you are doing. So we're gonna move forward now to this last kind of element of this hadith. So here what we have is to worship Allah physically with supreme presence and awareness of the heart. That's what we just talked about. And I gave that example. Are there any questions about the example I gave? Let me look at Slido. Are there any questions about what we covered? Okay, we got some new questions. First, I'm going to look for questions. You guys can up questions too. Oh, good question here. I'm going to up it. Someone asked, how do we I lost it when I pressed up. Oh, how do we contrast or compare ihsan with taqwa? So these are two Arabic terms. Let's talk about it a little bit. One is the concept of taqwa, which is considered an awareness of God, God consciousness, or being careful, they say, right? The other is ihsan. I would say that taqwa is a fruit of ihsan. Taqwa is a fruit or result of having this concept of ihsan. As a person becomes more aware, they become more careful. And so I would look at taqwa as a result of elevated levels of ihsan. That's a good question. How do you handle family, friends who think you're trying to be better than them and turn your self-improvement journey into a competition or guilt trip? How do you handle family, friends who think you're trying to be better than them and turn your self-improvement journey into a competition or a guilt trip? The question is beautiful. It was upped by two people, so we'll look into it. The question is how to deal with haters. We talked about ihsan. It leads to action, to worship Allah as if you see Him. So ihsan is not just pure psychological, but it's transformational in that it's going to lead to positive behavior change. And what did we say? This is very good right here. We said that there are two ways towards this. You can focus on adding more good to your life, or you can focus on removing the vices, or a bit of a combination of both of these things. So adding more virtue means more Qur'an, more dua, more good company, things like that. Some scholars say if you just keep adding a lot of good to the plate, there won't be room for bad. Other scholars say if you remove the vices, very little good will take you a far way. If you just got rid of those things, then just a little bit of good will take you very far. Both of these are just different approaches. I like to look at it as personality specific. Some people are very active. They're very busy. And if you tell them just, hey, stop doing so much bad, they're by nature are people that got to keep moving. So for those people, I like to focus on just do more good. Go to the masjid more, volunteer more, do more good. And there are some people that they're not very busybodies. They're okay kind of chilling back and just taking it cool. For them, I like to focus on, hey, let's just remove from some of the vices. Very slowly remove vices. Don't do more, do less. If you do less, that will be better for you. So depending on your personality, either one of these approaches towards spiritual reform can be very beneficial. But there's no one way, even for your children, there's no one way for them. There may be different approaches. Okay, here are the main qualities of ihsan. Pay attention to these, they are important. Number one is ikhlas. What does ikhlas mean? It means that there is no ulterior motive in what you do. Meaning anything you do is solely motivated by a love of God. Whether it be massaging your mother's feet, whether it be cooking a meal for your children, whether it be whatever it is, there's one reason. Now last night I talked about ash-shakur. Because ash-shakur is directly connected to ikhlas. If you are seeking people to say thank you from you, it's gonna mess up your ikhlas. If you are waiting for your family to thank you for working a 9 to 5 and putting food on the table, which they should do, it's gonna impact your ikhlas. If you're waiting for your children to appreciate you putting them through high school and college, it's gonna mess up your ikhlas. They should appreciate it. That's one side. Shaykh, give a lecture to them to be more appreciative. I ain't talking to them right now, I'm talking to you. And I want to work on your heart right now. For you, you need to stop being so fixated on people's appreciation. How will you do that? Last night we talked about ash-shakur. Seek approval and appreciation from him. That's why he told you that's his name. So you don't seek it from anyone else. Because the fact of the matter is people will never ever see all the struggles you go through for them. And undoubtedly, some of what you struggle and do for people will not be seen except by ash-shakur. So first part of ikhlas is stopping yourself from wanting everyone to say thank you and I appreciate that, mama. I appreciate that, wifey. I appreciate that. Full stop, other side of the coin. We all need to be people who show appreciation. That is the sunnah of Rasulullah. Whoever is not grateful to people has not been grateful to Allah, correct? Those two hadith are for two different sets of mentalities. One is making you not addicted to thanks. The other is creating a good household in society where everyone is saying thank you. Both of them are critical. Ikhlas, sincerity, can only be achieved if you've taken your heart away from needing something from people. Whether it's attention, praise, gratitude, whatever it may be, you have to put that only in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Performing all actions with a pure intention. What does a pure intention mean? What is your intention when you cook dinner for your children? What is your intention when you go to work? What is your intention? Let's be specific. Abdurrahman?
So if I'm cooking for my parents, I'm doing it and I'm not expecting thank you in return.
Okay, but what do you want from who? What do you want from it? Let's get specific. I like the phrase pleasing Allah, but I like to make that more specific. How does this act please God? Huh? What did he say? Well, let's stick with his example. His example was he's cooking food for his mother. He's cooking food at home for his mother. And he said, I'm doing it only for Allah. I was like, that's general. That's not motivating enough for me. Get specific. So then the other brother said, no, it pleases Allah. So I'm like, well, how? How does it please Allah? How does it please Allah? Like, what's the specific way this pleases God?
God gave you a responsibility, and you're fulfilling that responsibility to the best of your ability. Is the meaning of obedience.
So you're looking at any responsibility that we have. Fulfilling a responsibility that God gave me to the best of my ability. I would get even more specific. This man's cooking for his mama, y'all. Let's come to the sisters real quick. Yes?
Keeping the body nourished.
Keeping the mind nourished of my mother. So she not hangry no more. So she not angry. Can I just say it?
Is it mentioned in the Qur'an that you have to take care of?
Yeah. So I would just get specific. Jannah tahta, what is it? Jannah tahta aqdam al-ummahat. Like for me, you cooking that meal is I'm flipping those pancakes like, yo, in my mind, I'm getting this Jannah currency right now. Mom, you want one more? You want one more? You want one more? So now, if she says, oh my God, you cooked it too hard. In my mind, I never did it. This is crazy. Y'all not ready for this. I'm gonna try to make it the best I can. But even if my best don't please you, it ain't hurting me. Why? I wasn't doing it for you. Y'all not even ready for that yet. Y'all not even ready for that level yet. Now you shouldn't say that because people don't know how to take that. But in your heart, I wasn't even doing it for you. But that's combined with me doing my best. You see what I'm trying, Abdurrahman, you see what I'm trying to say? Like I cooked that meal to the best of my ability, but it wasn't for you, it was for Allah. So when you are salty because it's not salted enough, I don't care. And I'm not even gonna show not care. In my heart, I don't care. Because I never did it for you. But if you did it for their approval, it's gonna hurt like heck. Because you was doing it for them. And they didn't approve of it. So now it hurts, it hurts, it hurts, it hurts. And the imam was like, why are you doing it for people? Stop doing it for people. They're never gonna appreciate you. You gonna throw down. You gonna make the best meal. Your son gonna be like, I want pizza. We take these kids for vacation overseas. We go to Europe. They're like, can I get some chicken nuggets? I'd be like, man, I ain't go to Europe for you to eat chicken nuggets. You about to eat some spaghetti, bro. We in Italy right now, bro. He's like, nah, I want chicken nuggets. Yo, so the point is, I'm trying to help you because you are stressing at home because people don't appreciate you when you do your best. And because you did it, this lesson we're talking about right now, you don't know it. And the more you work on this lesson, the more you'll be able to say, oh, it's too salty for you. I'm sorry. Maybe next time it will be a little better. With no spite in your heart. And here's the key, with no spite in your heart. Because I wasn't doing it for you in the first place. How many does this resonate with, this what I'm saying right now? How many does this resonate? I want people to see other people struggling with what I'm saying right now. Yeah, so whatever you do won't be enough for everyone, just so you know. And until you shift your focus from people to Allah, you're gonna be stressed out and angry with the world. And so this lesson is going to change you if you embody this lesson and allow it to hit you, male or female. Perfect. Inna Allaha yuhibbul muhsinin. Indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves the people of ihsan. This is the verse that is highlighting the importance of developing this quality of ihsan. All right, let's go forward. Next.
He said, inform me about the hour. He, Mr. Muhammad said, about that, the one question knows no more than the questioner.
So here we have the final question. The kind of the final question. Jibra'eel, or the stranger, because we don't know who he is yet, he says, Akhbirni an sa'a. Tell me about the day of judgment. Now what he was asking is, when will it happen? When will it happen? Now remember, we know that the person asking the question is Jibra'eel. We know that. But the people listening don't know that. And so he's asking questions in order to teach in reality. Because we know he's Jibril, he's asking to teach. So when he was asked this question, let me go to the next one. Here we go. أخبرني عن الساعة قال ما المسؤول عنها بأعلم من السائل. He said, the Prophet said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, al-mas'ul anha, the one being asked doesn't know more than the one asking the question. Now scholars say, he's basically saying, I don't know when it's going to happen, but he's saying it in a way where he's telling Jibra'eel, I know who you are. Which is, you're an angel of Allah, and you don't even know the hour. Why are you asking me when the hour is? Mal mas'ulu anha bi'alama min as-sa'il. The one being asked doesn't know even more than the one asking the question. And he's saying it in a way where it's like, Gabriel, I know who you are, you know who I am, and neither one of us have access to this knowledge at all. So then what does Gabriel say next? Now I want to stop here. A Bedouin once came to the Prophet ﷺ and he asked the same question. He said, Mata sa'a? Mata sa'a? When is the day of judgment? And the Prophet ﷺ, he wanted to shift him from this mentality of when to what. So instead of saying when it would be, which he has no knowledge of, he rather focused on what have you prepared for it? Like, what are you doing for that moment? And I think a lot of us in our lives, there's a lot of us asking when something's gonna happen. And I think we need to stop asking when it's gonna happen. And I wanna ask you a question, what are you doing to be ready when it does happen? When am I gonna get that job? Well, are you ready? Like literally they're gonna call you next week and you're gonna be like, oh my God, I gotta get my schedule together. You're not ready. Are you actually ready to be blessed by God, or are you not ready? Because you keep saying, when's it gonna happen? But low-key, you haven't really prepared for it. Let me give an example. When the hijrah happened, and the Prophet had to run out of Mecca, like leave ASAP, he left his house. They were about to assassinate him. He left his house. He goes to Abu Bakr's house in the middle of the day. He says, we have to leave right now. Abu Bakr says, as-suhba, I get to go with you? The Prophet's like, yes, we go together. Abu Bakr goes, Ya Rasulullah, I got 2 cars in the garage, let's go. 2 camels, let's go. The scholars go, wait, hold on. He didn't know he would go with him, but he already had 2 camels ready? How? Because it's about preparing to be blessed by God. Preparing to be blessed by God. Don't wait for the door to open to run towards the door. It's like Hogwarts. You got to run to the wall. It will open when you run. You ain't see Hogwarts? All right, whatever. Harry Potter? No? Okay. You run at the wall. What happens when you run?
Go through it.
Yes, you go through it. Sometimes with God's blessings, you just got to run full speed at them and let God open that door up. You can't sit here and wait. When's it going to open? When's it going to open? When's it going to? It's not going to open if you just stand there. But the moment you start walking, that wall is going to turn into a door and you're going to walk in and be in Hogwarts. But you guys are too pragmatic. You're not ready for that. You want to see everything set up first. You're a yellow. You know what a yellow is? You never did that at work? Get your color. HR does your color? Okay. Huh?
It's like this trade, different color.
Yeah, your color, whatever, they never did it. Yellows need preparation. The whole trip has to be planned before we even leave Cincinnati. You know what I'm trying to say? At this hour, we'll do this. You have to let some of that go and just run towards the blessing. So Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala an, what did he do? He had 2 camels ready already for this to happen, even though he didn't know if it was going to happen or not. I just want you to look at your life sometimes and think there's some blessings that you just got to start preparing for them so that when it's time to drop, it's going to drop. So what does he say? So the Prophet ﷺ, he didn't say when it would happen. He said, Ma addatta laha. What have you prepared for the day of judgment? Listen to this, the hadith is not over. The man says, I haven't prepared a lot of fasting and prayer, but I have prepared a love of Allah and the Rasul. He's like, I didn't do a lot. I'm not one of those people that are like your top sahabi, but I just love this deen so much. I just love Islam. I love you. And the Prophet said, Al-mar'u ma'a man ahab. You'll be with the people that you love. So it's not about how much you do. And I said this last night. Stop raising your children to think they have to do a lot. You don't need to do a lot to please God. Very little pleases Allah. Very little pleases Allah. The world around you tells you you have to do a lot, but Allah never said that. Very little will please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But you're taking your baggage from how you grew up and never was doing enough, and you're placing that on the religion, and that's not what the religion says. So he said, أخبرني عن إماراتها. Okay. So this is where we begin the science of eschatology. Big word for basically the signs of the day of judgment. It's when you're like 17, 18, you love this topic. It's like all the signs, you know. Muslim young men at this age of 17, 16, they just love this topic. The signs of the day of judgment, right? We did a workshop on the hereafter where we talked a little bit about it. So what are we talking about here? We don't know when the day of judgment is, but the Prophet ﷺ taught us certain signs that will appear before the day of judgment. It's a whole topic. I think we actually would have to do a whole separate series just on this because of how detailed the hadith are about this topic. So what are they? قال أخبرني عن أماراتها. Gabriel says to the Prophet, tell me about the signs of the day of judgment. Go ahead, read. Nice and loud.
So he said, well, inform me about its signs. He said, they are that the slave girl will give birth to her master.
Stop there. These signs are a bit cryptic. They're not very, very, very clear. And so scholars actually have different of opinions on what they actually mean. Does that make sense? So the first sign, he said, is that the slave girl will give birth to her own master. Now, what does that mean? What are some stuff y'all heard? Tell me what y'all heard. I know this ain't the first time you heard this hadith. Is it first time? Okay. Some say the most accepted opinion is that one of the signs of the day of judgment is that women will give birth to children that run them. women will give birth, parents will raise children that run them. You ain't seen Instagram lately? Come on, man. Instagram is full of these parents that be like, don't tell them they're wrong. Just let Joshua do what he wants to do. It's better for him. You know what I mean? Like, you'll raise children that will run you. The day of judgment, guys, I'm on a serious note. The day of judgment is about a shifting, a change from what is up becomes what is down, and what is down becomes up. What is right is wrong, what is wrong is up. And so what we find before the day of judgment is power dynamics shift completely. Power dynamics shift completely. Truth, falsehood becomes truth. Good becomes bad, bad becomes good. The Prophet said the lowest people will be your leaders. Look at today. We have literally the people with the lowest ethics, and people are voting on that now. They're like, we literally don't care how, we want that. Like, we want that bad dude in charge. That's who we literally want. The more dirt we find out about him, the more we're like, yeah, that's our guy. So the Prophet ﷺ said the lowest people will become the leaders. That's not how America was. We were built on George Washington. What's the one story of George Washington that you know about? The cherry tree. This is what we were built on. What's the cherry? Does everyone know about the cherry tree? He cut down the cherry tree, and he was asked who cut it down, and he was honest. So the idea was that we were built on ethics. What was Abraham Lincoln's nickname? Honest Abe. America was built on leaders that were ethical. Leaders that were ethical. And the Prophet said a sign of the day of judgment, it's not in this hadith, but the sign of the day of judgment is you're going to see a shifting to the lowest of people on top and the top people lowest. Now, Mikaeel, why are you saying that? Well, this hadith speaks of something. That if you're a parent, there's a responsibility that God gave you to raise that child and guide them. Guide them to what is best for them. But our society today says don't even decide what their gender is for them. I can't even tell you what gender you are. I got to just lay back and let you figure this out on your own. I got to just figure it out. No, your job is to give direction to this human being that's only been here for like 5 hours, 3 years. 7 years. Yo, you 7 years old. When a kid tells me they don't like broccoli, I was like, you're not old enough to know what you like, Habibi. You haven't even tasted life yet. What I'm trying to say is the role of a parent is to give that direction. And so if we remove that, the Prophet ﷺ is saying, "Al talid al-amatu rabbataha," that you'll see the slave girl give birth to her own master. And many scholars have said it's an inqilab, or a shifting in the authority, where now Simpsons, Bart calls Homer, Homer, not dad.
Why did they all slave girls instead of just a girl?
It was just a figure of, it's the language translating. It's just amma in Arabic is translating to that. It has nothing to do with, that's a whole nother topic. Like if you want to talk about slavery, we could do that some other time. The point here is just the dynamic of mother to parent, mother or parent to child, that's being shifted over. And if we look at a lot of our relationships, that's what we see happening, right? Yeah. So that's the first one. The others, there's very esoteric kind of explanations for this as well. One of the most out there ones I've ever heard was like this Islamic civilization will give birth to Western civilization that will master over it. I mean, wallahu alam if those are accurate, but these are things that I've heard said before. Wallahu alam. If you go on the internet, you'll read some kind of out there ones. But it's kind of just straightforward. Next, read more.
You will see the barefooted, naked, destitute.
Keep reading.
The herdsmen of sheep competing with each other, raising lofty loads.
Oh my God, this is scary. This is crazy. Crazy. The Prophet says you'll see these people that were 30, 40 years ago broke as a joke, herding camels with no money, competing in building lofty towers. You know that Arab money? You're Arab. If you don't know, don't laugh, don't worry. All right. Yo, this is crazy. 50 years ago, you look at Dubai, you look at UAE, you look at these countries 60 years ago, they were nothing. And now the competition for building higher and higher and higher and higher and higher. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, a sign of the day of judgment is you will see. Now, all of these are just describing how they were before. Barefoot means they weren't really wealthy. Naked, they didn't have a lot of clothes. It's just depicting the destitute that was there prior to the wealth. But it also speaks about priorities. The moment you get money, all you care about is building up big buildings. And then the disparity between the rich and the poor is what immediately happens. And the reason why that happens is because they were just poor. And one thing that happens to poor people when they get money is they start hating poor people. That's why, bro, you see this in cultural daisies and Arabs all the time. Once we make it, we start to hate the ones that didn't make it. Once we make it, we look down at them. You know why you look down on them? Because you see yourself in them, that's why. And you hate that what you used to be, and that reminds you of where you used to be. And so you become, it's like the slaves that used to get free. The way they used to have disdain for those who were just out of slavery or still in slavery. You'd be like, bro, you just were a slave. What are you doing? Very interesting. So the Prophet ﷺ predicted that you will see a change. And then you will see a change in classism and a change in priorities. يَتَطَاوَلُونَ فِي الْبُنْيَانِ. So, when it comes to the signs of the Day of Judgment, there are 10 major signs that the Prophet ﷺ spoke about. I'm not going to go into those because that would make another whole halaqah, and each of those is very detailed. And then the Prophet ﷺ mentioned a number of smaller signs. The smaller signs are very profound. Most scholars say that almost all the smaller signs, we have already seen them, they've already come, they've already gone. Those signs have come and gone. And again, I think if we're going to just do a signs of the day of the signs of the hour of judgment, or day of judgment, sorry, then we'd have to do our own series just on those, because there's just so many of them, and they all take such a long explanation of them. Next, the Prophet ﷺ, he said that these signs will come one after the next, like the beads that fall off of a broken necklace. That once the necklace is clipped and they start to come, they'll come one after the next, one after the next, one after the next, one after the next. Yes?
The signs themselves, they have practical consequences for people in society, right? Some of them, like for example, the slave woman will give birth to her own match. There's a practical consequence there for society and for the Is there any sort of protection or any sort of thing the Prophet ﷺ recommended for us to do in regards to that when we see that starting to happen or before that happens?
Okay, so yes, let me break this down. If we look at the minor signs of the Day of Judgment, we see, for example, knowledge will be taken away. Hear me out on this one. Knowledge will be taken away. Here's the deal. What he's asking is there something we can do to push that day off? Is there a practical thing? Some would say yes. The learning of ilm, the learning of religion, is us doing our part to keep the dunya going, keep things going. So I do think they all indicate towards a breakdown in something, and thereby teach us what we need to be focusing on. I think that answers your question. right? If the hadith says a sign of the Day of Judgment is people will stop learning the deen, then I need to realize learning the deen is what I need to be doing. I need to be engaged in that. I need to be focused in that. Another hadith that the Prophet ﷺ mentions is moral decline. The Prophet ﷺ spoke about just the ethics of people falling. In one hadith, the Rasul ﷺ, he said, you'll see people fornicating openly in the street, to the point where the most righteous person will simply say, just hide and do it. Not stop, just, hey, can you go to the side of the road and do it? So the Prophet specifically is mentioning a moral decay. One of the signs of the Day of Judgment the Prophet mentioned is riba everywhere. Riba will become unavoidable. So if a person tries their best to avoid that, yes, they are pushing off, or resisting that pull towards the Dajjal and things like that. And the other thing that is important to realize is the fitna that will come. The main thing I would say about the Day of Judgment for us to realize, or the Ashrat as-Sa'a signs, is that a lot of it deals with the fitna on the heart. The test that will hit the heart. And so the more good company you keep, the more you stay around righteous company and you stay in good majalis of dhikr, the better fortified your heart is going to be, so that when these fitnas come, you'll be able to reject them and push back on them. This is a very, very big conversation, which is, it's gonna happen slowly but fast, meaning the societal changes will happen faster and faster and faster, but it happens slowly to us. For example, the things that are okay today society, 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 50 were unfathomable to be taught in schools. But look how fast it's happening. And so there has to be an active effort to push back on these things. Now the major signs, again, I want to go too deep into these. There are a number of major signs. Each of them just takes a lot of conversation. And so I'm just gonna, we're not gonna go into them. One of the signs of the Day of Judgment the Prophet ﷺ mentioned is the family breakdown. The family breakdown, where a person puts friends closer than they do their own family. It's a very dangerous one. Here are the major signs. I'm just going to gloss over them. The biggest sign is the coming of the Dajjal. Before that is the nuzul, or coming of Jesus. Jesus will return. The next one is the appearance of Ya'juj and Ma'juj. Next is a great landslide in the east and the west and the Arabian Peninsula. These are referred to as major earthquakes. The next one is a smoke that takes the lives of the believers, what the Christians call the rapture. The sun rising from the west. The Prophet ﷺ predicted the sun will rise from the west, and from that point there's no more tawbah. From that moment the doors of tawbah are open, and from that moment the societal decay is fast and rapid, extremely fast. The appearance of the beast, and a great fire that will gather people to the plane of judgment. May Allah protect us. Listen, man, you don't want to be around during these things, yo. These are not things like, yo, that'd be cool to see. Nah, bruh. You are not trying to be around during this. The Sahaba would hear about these and they would be very deeply scared. And the Prophet said, if it happens when I'm here, I'll protect you. But if I'm not here, every man for themselves. Run far away from these fitnas. Guys, we used to wonder how Dajjal would mass manipulate society. We just watched the world complicitly watch a genocide. We used to think, like, how is Dajjal gonna spread a lie and the whole world believe it? We literally just watched a 2-year-long genocide and no one could do anything about it. The victim was the aggressor and the aggressor was the victim. Mass manipulation of perception. And the Prophet told us these things would happen. All right, can we finish the hadith? We didn't finish the hadith. Can you finish the rest of the hadith?
Thereupon the man went on.
Okay, so the hadith that we started with, this man came, guys. He came and he sat down in front of the Prophet. He put his knees. He asked these questions. Everyone's looking, man, who is this guy? Dressed in all white, hair really black. No one recognizes who he is. He asked these 4 questions, and then he gets up and he walks away. Go ahead.
I waited a while, and then he, the Messenger of Allah, said,
hold on, time out. Umar is the one telling this hadith. So Umar says when he got up and left, I was like, who is this guy? Like, you can't just come into Medina, ask these deep questions. I got to follow up. So he goes, I run out of the masjid looking for him. And one narration says the Prophet actually told me, Umar, go bring him back. He says, I went through the entire Medina and I could not find this guy. Now, Medina at that time is the size of the Masjid Nabawi. That is all of Medina. He says, I searched everywhere. I could not find this man. By the time I got back, the Prophet asked me, did you find him? I said, no, I couldn't find him anywhere. And that's where the Prophet said these words, Atadri man as-sa'il. Do you know who that man was? Go ahead.
I replied, Allah and His Messenger know better. He said, that was Jibra'eel. He came to teach you your religion.
That was Gabriel. He came to teach you your religion. This hadith is called Hadith Jibra'eel. This is one of the last, most comprehensive hadith that happened in the life of the Prophet ﷺ. And this hadith gives us deep insight into what will happen before the Day of Judgment, but it also gives us deeper insight into what will change us in our behavior, and it also gives us insight into what are the key elements, the key aspects of this deen of Islam, inshallah. And so, alhamdulillah, we have finished Hadith Jibra'eel, inshallah. If you were present for both sessions, I give you ijazah. You guys know what ijazah is, yo? Y'all don't even want the ijazah. They're like, no, we don't need no ijazah, yo. If you were present, inshallah, for both, then inshallah, you have ijazah to teach this hadith to someone, inshallah ta'ala. If you remember it. I mean, don't worry, you can just read from it. You know, you just read from the piece of paper, inshallah. No, barakallahu feekum. Let's go through the Slido and see if there's any other questions, inshallah, before we wrap up, inshallah.